Thank you, Mark. Thanks for that introduction. I don't know about the getting younger part, but I have certainly enjoyed my move to the Asia-Pacific region, and I'm glad I have a chance to come back here again for this event. Now, welcome to Ansible Automates. We're very happy to have you here today. I think that there's a lot of exciting news that we want to share, but the stuff that I'm really actually quite excited about is to talk to you about the advancements made around AI and automation. It's been almost 2 years since Red Hat released its first generative AI tool, which was Ansible Lightspeed, at Summit in May of 2023. And we've come a long way, and we're just getting started. So what I want to do is share a little bit about the way that we can derive value from automation and AI. It's been a lot in the news. We've talked about it a lot. One thing is sure, it's here to stay. So we have to start incorporating AI into how we do things, and it's going to have a big impact in how we do automation. As I was getting ready for today's presentation, I was doing some research online, and there was one article that I saw that I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to share. It's a little bit humorous, so I hope you don't mind a one-slide diversion on what will probably be a fairly serious presentation for the rest of the day. And that is the AI code bot that refused to write code. Now, on one level, I think we can identify with this code bot, right? We all know the saying, teach a man to fish, feed him for a day, right? But it kind of underscores an important point. We are dealing with a whole new type of technology, one that can make decisions, one that can make choices, and one that can even, it seems, give us life lessons when it feels like we need them. So I think that's something to remember as we go through the day, but let's get back on track and talk about how we're going to derive business value from integrating automation and AI. Now, let's spend a moment just to address the LLM in the room. It's been over 2 years since OpenAI announced ChatGPT. It burst onto the scene and captured people's imaginations, probably because for the first time, people could directly interact with leading-edge technology by just having a chat with ChatGPT. It's been very much part of our plans and our thoughts, but I think the time for preparing to implement AI in our environments is over. I think the time has come for us to put them into action, and that's what we're going to talk about. Now, that road to integrating AI into the environments has hit some obstacles. There's some research here from Salesforce.com. They, not surprisingly, when they interviewed CIOs and asked them, only 11% said that they had implemented AI to the extent that they would like to. What is interesting in that study is the biggest barriers to AI adoption, and the one that kind of caught my eye was inadequate automation integration. And I think there's something we can do to help there. BCG did a study, and what they found is only that 74% of the companies they interviewed said that they were struggling to implement AI at scale and to drive the value that they're looking to get from AI in their environments. So we're running into some early obstacles. At the same time, this time of year, early in the calendar year, it's always fun to look at the predictions for this year, and Forrester made some predictions for 2025. One of their predictions is that technologists are going to use AIOps to reduce technical debt, and their plan is to triple the adoption of AIOps in their environments in this calendar year. So which is it? Which feels more realistic to you? Is the play that we're going to triple the adoption of AIOps, or is the fact that we have some real hurdles we have to overcome that are holding us back? And I think that's something that probably you should think about in your organizations, because each of you are at a different place. Now, for me, I think both can be true. AIOps brings a ton of value, but it has to be done the right way. And of course, organizations will continue to struggle with effective AI implementation. This stuff is really hard. But IT leaders were already dealing with some serious challenges before AI come onto the scene, right? Complexity, skills gap, tool sprawl, reduced resources, and increased expectations. So now IT leaders need to figure out how to implement AI in a dynamic and rapidly changing environment. Now, with new data and intelligence flowing in from these tools, with new workloads being cut across the organization, with new demands being placed on your infrastructure, it is more important than ever to make sure that your stack is connected, resilient, and secure. AI needs a solid foundation of automation in order to be successful. Because ultimately, what is AI doing, right? It's going to play a huge role in IT operations. It's going to automate processes. It's going to connect infrastructure and tools. And importantly, it's going to make decisions. The more sound your processes and workflows are, the safer and more effective they'll be when you layer in AI. And the more secure and stable your overall IT operations foundation is, the more confident you can be when AI is turned loose on and makes decisions on behalf of your IT estate. Because when we think about the role of IT automation and AI, it's really about taking the insights that AI can generate, making them actionable at scale and in real time. Automation is the key enabler to accomplish this. Now, every tool you have in your stack is probably telling you that they are incorporating AI features and functions, right? In fact, it probably would be, just like you can't buy a TV that's not a smart TV today, you're not going to be able to buy an observability tool that doesn't have AI baked in either, right? The upshot is that you're going to get vast new amounts of insights and data and intelligence from this new tool stack. That's great news. But to make it actionable, you need to be able to orchestrate it all. You need to be able to take the power of those insights and turn them into action. And for any organization looking to ride the AI wave, automation is mission critical. And that's a consistent theme. When I was here a year ago at this, standing on a stage in Melbourne at the same event, I was saying the same thing. Automation is mission critical. It's just now AI, I think, makes it even more so. So a quick level set here. We've heard two things, right? We've heard that there's a reality check, that the excitement, enthusiasm for AI has run smack into the realities of integration issues and technical barriers and skills gaps. But, and this is the important thing, and hopefully I'm very excited about this, and hopefully by the end of the day, all of you will be as well. There's an awesome realization that we can drive significant value from integrating AI and automation. Automation done right in this context, and automation using the tooling you already have with Ansible. A good example of how this works is from Matt at MapFree. They wanted to get their feet wet and to get some experience with AI. They picked something they thought would be relatively easy to do. I encourage you to watch the video. It's relatively short, but very good. What they did is they took the most common help desk calls that they were getting, and they took the resolutions to those help desk calls for very common issues, and they tried to train a large language model to go in and provide a reasonable resolution to those issues as they came in. And what they found was that the tool was only about 3% accurate, which is pretty bad, right? So basically, they did all this work, and at the end, the result was unusable. What they realized was that they needed to automate the processes that were going to be the subject of those calls and automate the remediation steps that would be taken to resolve it. Then they trained the AI on those Ansible playbooks that captured the process and the resolution, and all of a sudden, that AI tool was able to significantly reduce the number of tickets that could be resolved that required manual intervention to solve. So they found that automation was a necessary prerequisite and a fertile training ground for their LLM in this case. So how can Ansible help? We basically have two pillars that are our main approach around helping you with your automation journey and involving AI. The first is AIOps. And you've already heard it's a big deal for us, but we've been doing it for some time. The fact of it is that all our ISV and observability tools today have or are putting AI capabilities into their offerings. Your customers are already paying for these tools and their AI capabilities. So how are we going to take advantage of those insights? And the answer is with event-driven Ansible. AI infrastructure automation, Ansible can provision, deploy, scale, manage, and automate your AI applications just as it does everything else in your environment. And both of these pillars are supported by Ansible Lightspeed, our turnkey AI solution. So let's look at both of these in just a little bit more detail. One point I just want to make, because it comes up a lot, and that is that observability is not the same thing as AIOps. Observability tools have come a long way and are employing AI to draw insights out of full stack telemetry. Some of them even include integrations with common web services. But the strength of these tools is to observe and deliver insights on the health, resiliency, scalability, and security of your stack. But what value are those insights if you can't act upon them securely and in real time? Now, I realize we've used this term AIOps without providing a kind of definition of it. I actually like the simple definition, which comes to us from Gartner. AIOps is simply artificial intelligence for IT operations. But what does that really mean? How do we bring that to life for you in your organization? Well, it's a pretty simple flow. It starts with observability. Some tool is monitoring your stack, and they see an event that represents an anomaly. They send that event to an inferencing engine. This could be built into the observability tool, or it could be separate to the observability tool. An inferencing engine just is a trained large language model that looks at real-world data, in this case, the data provided by the event, and provides the most reasonable outcome or action that needs to be taken to resolve the event. Now, you already have this in your environment today, right? If you're using a tool like Dynatrace or something, you already have the observability, and you already have the AI capabilities baked into that tool. But how do you derive value from it? That's the question. And the answer is, because you have automation that can act upon the insights that tool creates, right? That's why we think automation is so critical. This is what we call AIOps. And this is why we're saying that Ansible unlocks AIOps. It helps make observability data actionable. It brings siloed tools and processes together, right? It gives you a unified platform for teams across domains to standardize their AI-driven workflows. And importantly, it does it with the security and scale that Ansible is a clear leader in the IT automation industry today. So this is not some far-off vision. You can do this today, right? We have enterprise-ready, event-driven Ansible, which any AI can directly trigger. We work with whatever observability tool you can buy or whatever AI model that you can create. We have supported integrations with leading solutions across infrastructure, security, cloud, networking, and more. And we make use of the roles, the playbooks, and the workflows that you already use and trust in your environment today. So, event-driven Ansible turns intelligence into action. It can power solutions that trigger automation to reduce downtime, to improve system security, or to reduce labor costs, allowing investment in higher value skills. And remember that Forrester study. This is how AIOps could help you close your tech debt gap, right? Because you can take those resources and put them to work to help reduce those higher value issues. Now, I do have a military background, as Mark had pointed out in the intro. To me, this looks very much like a decision-making matrix they used to teach us. Comes from an Air Force colonel called John Boyd, and it's pretty well known even outside of military circles, called the OODA loop, which stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. And it was a decision-making framework that was designed to improve the quality of decision-making in dynamic environments. And I think you'd agree that our IT environments today are pretty dynamic. The point that Colonel Dowd made was that information is ever increasing. The value is not in the information. It's actually, information can overwhelm you. The value comes from the quality of the decisions that you can make on that information and on your ability to act on those decisions. And I think that's a very apt way of looking at what AIOps can do for us in our IT environments today. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can bring AIOps into your environment and deliver meaningful business outcomes. Think about self-healing infrastructure, particularly for your most common issues. Think about security event response, especially since the bad actors that are attacking your infrastructure are themselves using AI and automation in their attacks. But now you can respond at machine speed, right? Think about compliance and policy as code, but now with the regulators, require documentation and audit logs to prove that you're enforcing those policies consistently throughout your organization. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. In fact, the only limitation on the value you can deliver with this AIOps concept is your creativity. So let me show you one very simple example about self-healing infrastructure. It goes by pretty quick, and we're going to go into more detail on this in some of our breakouts. But it looks like this. There's a monitoring tool. It's monitoring applications. It sees an application crash. It then sends an event, and event-driven Ansible picks it up, engages an AI tool for analysis, determines what the issue is, logs that ticket in ServiceNow or your ITSM tool, requests a playbook be generated from Ansible Lightspeed, takes that playbook and applies it against the endpoint, resolves the issue, closes the ticket, all without human intervention. Think of what a power that this could bring to your organization. One quick example from the US, there's a major bank that took their most common network issues, developed a fully automated remediation for those issues, and now auto-remediates 100,000 network events a month. Right? Think of now what they can do to redeploy that IT labor and budget to do higher value things without those 100,000 tickets that they have to worry about. Say? It's a big network, so 100,000 sounds like a big number, but this is a huge bank, so I'm hoping it's reasonable. Thank you. So here's an example of one of our customers that put the power of Dynatrace with its AI capabilities together with event-driven Ansible. And I think Dynatrace is one of our exhibitors out in the area outside. They were able to find, through auto-remediation and self-healing, they were able to reduce the number of tickets that they saw by 50%. Again, a significant value, a significant business value driven by bringing these two powerful concepts together. The next pillar in our approach is AI infrastructure automation. And I put these questions up here because it's a little bit of what's different and what's the same. Because on one level, it's just another workload, right? But on another, there are some differences. For example, if you're doing a big training run, you can't have, let's say, an interruption in that process, or you might have to start over. So are you confident you can deliver 100% uptime in supporting an AI workflow? Also, what's the state of your IT infrastructure? Is it fully automated and optimized? And finally, when you think about the load balancers, GPUs, and data flows from the edge back to the core, how comfortable are your teams in working with these technologies, right? But on the other hand, it's the kind of stuff that Ansible does each and every day. It's our bread and butter. We are all about infrastructure automation. We can help simplify the deployment, management, and configuration of those AI workloads. We do that through standardizing deployment, through configuration as code, to make sure that whenever you deploy that AI workload, be it on-premise or in the cloud, it's done consistently, and the results that workload derives from that can be trusted. We have built-in integrated monitoring and alerts, so you can monitor this workloads. You can monitor the state of your infrastructure to make sure it's resilient and responsive to the demands that AI workloads can place upon it. And finally, oftentimes the data that is generated for these models is made in one place, but it needs to be in another for the training step where the large language model is being trained. So data management is a key piece. And Ansible can not only move that data from where it is to where it needs to be, but also can make sure that the right people have access to it for training workloads such as Red Hat and OpenShift AI. Finally, all of this is supported by Ansible Lightspeed. Again, I'm very proud to say the first AI offering from Red Hat was for Ansible, which is great. We've done a lot in the 2 years since it's been announced. There's been a continuous stream of new features and functions. A lot of the stuff is driven by our partners, IBM, because under the covers, they're using our Watson Xcode Assistant. Again, happy just talk to them out there about what they're doing, but there's some really cool stuff that's coming out now. A chatbot experience, because I think that has come to be the way people expect to interact with LLMs. So now you can have that chatbot experience right there in VS Code. Also, it can give you insights into issues you might be having around reliability. Also, it can help you troubleshoot playbooks that maybe aren't working as expected and get to find the fixes that are going to get them back on track. One of the things that I think need to do a little bit more about talking to customers about why this is such a great tool is the outcomes that come when people adopt it. There's been some really good research done both by some of our market research teams, but also in partnership with IBM's CIO office. And what they looked at was, what happens, 6 months, 9 months down the road after an automation, let's say a state starts to adopt Ansible Lightspeed. And there was 3 findings they had. 2 of them are expected, and 1 was a bit of a surprise. The first one, which is an expected result, is that automation engineers who were given access to Lightspeed were more productive. They basically were able to do about 30% more work with Lightspeed than they were able to do without access to an AI-based code assistant. The second result was that the quality of the code that they created went up. It was about a 91% improvement in first-time code use. In other words, the code would actually run the first time you attempted to run it. And that's not too surprising, since about 60% of the code that they ended up generating was machine generated. And computers, they don't do syntactical errors the way we humans tend to do. But also, the Ansible Lightspeed is trained on a very carefully curated corpus of knowledge that represents best practices in automation. So when Ansible Lightspeed recommends a specific set of code to accomplish a certain task, you're seeing the result, which is a best practice way of doing it. So the third result is the one that's somewhat surprising. When they went back about 6 months later and said, what's the big difference here since when you started using Lightspeed? They found that there was about a 10x increase in the number of people in that IT shop who felt comfortable writing a playbook. It really allowed them to start to use automation in their everyday use and work and not have to rely on a small group of automation engineers in the corner who they'd have to wait in queue to get access to. And it really plays to one of the strengths about Ansible. We're not a point automation solution. We're not about islands of automation. We're about enterprise automation. And the democratization of access to automation tooling is a key part of that to help ensure you can start to build automation workflows that deliver meaningful business results, which often cut across IT silos and domains and give an end-to-end process that delivers something that's of business value. So I think that it's another great example of how we've been able to deploy a tool to help people get more out of their investment in Ansible. So there you have it. We have a new focus on AIOps, which combines event-driven Ansible plus access to the large language tools that are either baked into your observability stack or that you can build and deploy yourselves. We have a lot of focus now on the unique demands that AI infrastructure workloads place on your environment, and we will help you with the automation of those workloads so they can run efficiently. And we do all that supported by our turnkey automation tool in Lightspeed. So what happens next? Well, you're in the right place to learn more about this stuff. We have some great content in the agenda today to go into more depth on some of the topics I touched upon in this presentation. Enjoy it, right? And ask a lot of questions and keep the conversation running, right? We'd love to keep in touch. And please feel free to visit redhat.com/Ansible so you can build out your own automation journey. So thank you for your time.